On Sunday, we had the Turkish Grand Prix, and it was wet. It wasn't that eventful. But there are a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, Valtteri Bottas won. Max Verstappen got second. Sergio Perez got third. Charles Leclerc for Ferrari got fourth. And then Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes got fifth place. And I want to start by praising Red Bull's second driver, Sergio Perez. During lap 35, he had an amazing battle with Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton, where he held off Lewis, he defended his own position, and more importantly, he kept Lewis behind him, which, finally we saw Sergio Perez make an impact as the number 2 driver for Red Bull. That is why Red Bull brought him in. They wanted him and hoped he would be the great number 2 driver that Max Verstappen needed in his quest for a Formula One title. If Max Verstappen wins the world title this year, he can partly say, hey, thanks to my buddy and number 2 driver, Sergio Perez, for helping me out at times. And what happened in this race in Turkey was Sergio Perez created a buffer between Lewis and Max almost all race. It was fantastic. And you remember last year, I remember so many times where Max Verstappen was alone against the 2 Mercedes cars, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. So in Turkey, he finally got some help. That was cool to see. Now, Lewis actually did get pole position in qualifying of this race. However, he got a 10-place grid penalty for replacing his engine. So Lewis started 11th. And normally, by the way, doing that, replacing your engine, normally that puts you at the back of the grid. However, he only replaced some of the parts of his engine. He replaced, because he did that and replaced part and not the whole engine, it only gave him a 10-place grid penalty. So that's what happened, why he was 11th rather than starting at the back of the grid. Now, drama came for Lewis Hamilton at the end of the race. On lap 42 of 58, Mercedes told Lewis to pit stop, and he ignored them. Later, he did have to come in and pit on lap 51, way after everyone else did, and it put him behind it. He lost positioning from 3rd to 5th, and he could not recover from that pit stop. He briefly had a nice moment, and then his tire settled in, and he just could not recover and couldn't pass Charles Leclerc for 4th or get up to 3rd. And the strategy was a weird, unforced error for Mercedes and for Lewis Hamilton. And after the race, during post-game interviews, first of all, Mercedes boss Toto Wolff said that Lewis should have come in really on lap 42 when the team wanted him to come in initially. And then during Lewis's interview, Lewis said that with hindsight, he should have either come in much earlier on lap 42, as Toto Wolff referred to, or frankly not come in at all. Esteban Ocon for Alpine did not come in the entire race. He did not pit stop once during the race. Remember, it was wet. Everyone was on intermediate tires. The rules are different on intermediate tires. And in theory, Lewis Hamilton could have gone the entire race without needing a pit stop. Now, the problem is if you don't stop, you risk blowing your tire, and a DNF would have ruined everything. If Lewis Hamilton had simply not finished the race, he would have missed out on all the points he got anyway. And going from 3rd to 5th is a 5-point loss. You can't miss out on 10 points and not get any position and DNF in the race. So either way, I think pitting when he did was a problem and an unforced error for Lewis Hamilton. But again, I remind you, 5th place instead of 3rd is a 5-point gap, and it's still way better than completely not finishing the race. However, if Lewis Hamilton does not win the world title this year and Max Verstappen wins the world championship, I think this race in Turkey is going to come back and haunt Lewis Hamilton. He's going to think about all the times where, man, that was a missed opportunity. That Sunday in Turkey, that rainy day. It was also weird, I got to say, Mercedes usually does a really good job communicating with Valtteri Bottas, and especially with Lewis Hamilton, and I thought they did a poor job giving the information to Lewis. I felt like Lewis Hamilton, while he was trying to make a decision to pit, wasn't given enough info to make a proper decision. And now after the race, the constructor standings right now go like this. Mercedes is in first place. Mercedes has 433.5 points. Then Red Bull is in second with 397.5 points. Then you have McLaren in third with 240 points, and Ferrari in fourth with 232.5 points. Then Alpine, the gap is massive to Alpine. Alpine's in fifth with 104 points. But the real story here, the thing that I'm like, oh my goodness, it's going to be an incredible finish in Formula One. Here are the driver standings. You have in first place Max Verstappen with 262.5 points. Then in second, you have Lewis Hamilton with 256.5 points. Then a gap. Then Valtteri Bottas in third with 177 points. Lando Norris in fourth with 145 points. And Sergio Perez with 135 points. Max right now is 6 points ahead of Lewis with 6 races left to go this year. Coming up, we have the USA. I think it's in Texas this year. Then Mexico, then Brazil, then Qatar, then Saudi Arabia, then Abu Dhabi. And so we have this crazy finish ahead in Formula One. We're building and building and building and building. And look, a 6-point gap can be overcame. And I just wonder, man, like, first of all, are we going to get a clean finish? Could it be a situation where one crashes the other in order to win the world title? I don't know. That would be insane. But the other question is, will this Turkish Grand Prix haunt Lewis Hamilton later, where he could have, I think, had a better place in this race than he did. And again, you don't want to risk blowing your tires. So it was maybe the right call to come in and pit, but he probably shouldn't have pit when he did. He probably should have done it much earlier to stay competitive with Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc. And I wonder, is Turkey going to be something we look back on later and go, that race right there, that Sunday, that was a missed opportunity for Lewis Hamilton, and will it cost him the world championship? I don't know, but I'm like, in the sports world right now, football's good. We're week 5 of 18, and we're in the middle of NFL season. And things are going really well, but I can't help but quietly, my own little heart, dude, the way that F1's going to end this year is going to be incredible. And I'm not, I know most of my audience is here for football and NFL talk, but I just, as a F1 fan, I'm sitting here going like, this is going to be a special year. Every week it gets better and it builds more and more, and it's just going to be an incredible finish to the year in Formula One.